Hi, you're watching Fairfield Television Channel 9, FPAC. I'm Susan Kessel, and with me today we have Betsy Huff Smith and Bonnie Dinkle. And we're all three artists here in Fairfield. And we're three of the 13 artists from Fairfield, and we're going to talk about an exciting show, an exciting event that's coming up for Fairfield, but it's out of town. It's in Des Moines. And that is the 13 Artists from Fairfield, Iowa show that's going to be held in Des Moines.
Right.
I'm going to let you tell about the dates.
Okay. It's going to be at the Kirkwood Civic Center Hotel in downtown Des Moines at 4th and Walnut Streets. And the dates will be next weekend. Friday night will be the opening, October 11th, from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then Saturday it will be 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
And there will be a reception for the artists on that Friday night,
right,
from 5 to 11. So we're hoping that we do have some Fairfield visitors. I know that you have your family flying in from somewhere.
My parents are coming from Philadelphia.
So this is a big show for Fairfield.
And also, the Kirkwood Hotel up in Des Moines is going to be offering special low rates for anyone going to see this show. So you can just call and make a reservation and get a special rate of $45.
So if you're looking for a little weekend getaway, call and say, I'm with the 13 Artists show, and go make a weekend of it. Visit the Civic Center, see what's going on.
And there's also
Bill Cosby, I believe.
Yeah, Friday night, Bill Cosby's coming to the Civic Center.
Actually, my husband's excited because he heard Cowboy Junkies is going to be on Saturday night.
Oh.
So, somewhere.
So there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's also a fantastic farmers market Saturday from 7 until 1. And it's just, you can have breakfast there. There's any kind of food you want, ethnic
At the
food.
farmers market?
At the farmers market.
Oh, wow.
It's fantastic. It just goes on for blocks and blocks and blocks. And it's very colorful, and lots to see, and lots of vendors with fresh, I don't know about organic, but fresh.
Sounds like fun.
Vegetables.
It's pretty much just right
so
outside the door of the Kirkwood too, so it's real convenient just to
right around the corner.
See some art and then go out and check out the farmers market, and it'll be a really fun weekend.
So it sounds like there's a lot to do. There's always a lot to do in Des Moines, but now there's an added attraction of having 13 artists from Fairfield, a special exhibit.
Right.
Betsy is the one that kind of got this going, and how we have the help of John Busby, who is from Des Moines.
Yes.
An arts promoter.
Yeah, he's an art promoter. It's all volunteer work from his side.
I wondered about that. He's doing so much work for us.
He really is.
Tell us about...
He's a really generous person. Well, basically, I was in Des Moines a year and a half ago, and I came upon the Artists Emporium, which is one of the Des Moines co-ops, a cooperative, art cooperative.
Is this downtown?
It's downtown, right across right around the corner from the Kirkwood.
Okay.
And it's a part of the same space as Java Joe's, which is owned by Joe Coppola, who is the owner, or his family owns the Kirkwood Hotel.
Okay.
But anyway, I was in there looking at the art, and I got the phone number, and I called, and actually it was quite a bit, it was longer. It was about 6 or 8 months later. I called, and I got him on the phone, and he sent me some information by email, and then a few months later he has family, actually, and he grew up in the Mount Pleasant area. And yeah, so he was coming to visit his family, and he thought maybe he could stop by at our gallery here, which is the Skyline Studio and Gallery that Bonnie and I
which is a great
own together.
Great gallery on the east side of the square above the Noodle House.
Right. So anyway, he came for the meeting. It was last spring, and we talked for, I don't know how long it was, Bonnie. It was at least an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Yeah, he was here for about 2 hours. giving us his
Yeah.
undivided attention.
Yeah. So anyway, he came, and he's the executive director. I forgot to say he's the executive director of the co-op in Des Moines. Anyway, that's when it came up about having a group show and promoting Fairfield artists.
I think it's known around the state and the Midwest that Fairfield has a lot of artists. It's kind of an artist capital.
It really is. We really want to make Fairfield almost like an artist colony.
So I think his interest came from there.
Yeah. So anyway, we just got started with that, and we thought about having it sometime in October, and he talked about, this other group, the 218.5 Paint Pushers, who had a show there a couple of times.
And where were they from?
From Des Moines.
Okay.
12 or 13 artists, and in the ballroom of the Kirkwood Hotel. And so, of course, Bonnie and I just jumped at the opportunity, and got together and decided on the 12 or 13. Now it's 13.
It was 12. I'm the lucky 13. They had
we found
room.
this spot, thank goodness, for Susan. So it's really great. We have sort of a baker's dozen there, and anyway, we're just, we've been organizing it, and it's been a lot of fun, and working with all the artists, and it's going to be a great event.
I think it is too. I haven't done an art show I had a single one-woman art show last year, but not a group kind of art fair type show exhibit, and I think this is going to be very nice.
It's going to be like a 2-day party. That's the way I'm looking at it.
And bringing a little bit of Fairfield, or a lot of Fairfield,
exactly.
to Des Moines. And so we hope that some Fairfield people will take the opportunity to go visit, and that is this next Friday and Saturday,
October 11th and 12th.
And come up for the reception. There's going to be food and drinks and fun.
And music.
Yes, and we're going to have a harp player, a woman
from Des Moines.
Playing. Yes, from Des Moines. She has a degree in music and harp. Just graduated, and she'll be playing from 6 to 8 p.m. It's possible that there may be a jazz ensemble also playing from 8 to 10. So
it sounds like fun, really and then make a weekend of it if you want to stay all night, or come up on Saturday and have a fun day also, and help promote Fairfield while you're doing it. John did give me a little information about the Kirkwood Hotel, which I thought was interesting. It's a 1930s Art Deco landmark in the heart of downtown Des Moines. It's located at 4th Street and Walnut, and it serves as an entrance to the historic Court Avenue Entertainment District. It's family-owned landmark, and it maintains a strong commitment to the core of downtown Des Moines. And that's why it's hosting this show of 13 artists from Fairfield. The Capallo family is the second-generation ownership of this hotel, and they've started impressive restoration campaign in the 1980s. Something that I liked, they're preserving the best of the 30s architecture and tradition of the hotel. But what I liked is that throughout the hotel, they've had Iowa artist Doug Shelton do 13 original murals.
Yes, we saw them when we were up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really nice.
So you get to see those too, and take a tour of the hotel, and look at all those things. So actually the Kirkwood is named in honor of Samuel J. Kirkwood, the sturdy, I wonder why they said sturdy, statesman and war governor. I guess that was quoted in June 6th in a 1930 article. And he was
a common word they used back then, or something.
I guess, sturdy.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to envision him. And he served as governor several terms, was a member of the United States Senate, and Secretary of Interior under President Garfield. So I didn't know that. And I guess also the original Kirkwood Hotel burned. It was built in 1855, and then it burned April 6, 1929. And so the new hotel opened less than 14 months after the destruction of the old one. So it has an interesting history, and it's done in an Art Deco style, and that's nice to see also. But the 13 artists from Fairfield at this group show, and in an article I wrote, I said there are many, many, many artists in Fairfield, so it was really hard to
It
pick
was.
13. How did that happen?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Bonnie and I just got together and started, writing down names of artists that we knew, and, just some, we had to do a little research and stuff, and, some people couldn't, some artists we invited, just couldn't do it for one reason or another, didn't have enough paintings or so on, but we did come up with the numbers. So.
There are, I don't know how many artists in Fairfield if we actually made a list. I suppose it would come up on maybe 100. I don't know.
It might be, yeah. I mean, maybe not everybody, professional or whatever.
Right. But that likes to consider themselves an artist.
Definitely.
So the artists that we do have are, I'm going to read this list so I don't leave anyone out. We have Bonnie Dinkle. We have Tara Winkler, we have Bruce Wilson, Ann Weigel, Diane Naylor, Suzanne Major, Hans Olson, Denise Gallagher, Joni McGinnis, Becca Fairy, John Staiano, Becky Huff Smith, and myself, Susan Kessel, and I think that should be the 13. And we actually asked each artist to bring us a piece of work so we could show and tell a little bit about them, and you can see by their work why they're in this exhibit. So I think we'll start passing some artwork here in front of the camera and try and tell you a little bit about each artist that's from Fairfield that's going to represent us at this 13 artist show.
Okay.
So we'll start with Denise Gallagher's, and I'll let you two work with the pieces here. Denise says, I do art because I need to, not because it pays the bills. And I don't require my works to be commercial success. It's free to explore themes and imagery. She traveled to Italy, and she did when she was younger, and so that's been a really big influence in her work. I know her from doing a lot of drawings, figure drawings, beautiful pencil figure drawings. But I believe for this show she's going to have a lot of artwork like this.
She's also bringing her figurative work.
Okay.
Yes.
And do either of you have any more information about Denise?
Well, she's also an occupational therapist, believe it or not.
At the local hospital.
At the local hospital
Exactly.
here for years. She's been here and moved here quite a number of years ago from the Philadelphia area. But yeah, she's been doing art for many, many years. And
So some of you that know her...
she has a degree from an art college in Philadelphia.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
So a lot of you will know her from the hospital. My husband saw her the other day and said, I know that person. And I said, well, she's an artist, and she's a very good artist. So this is one of her pieces.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to have her to work in our show. Then we have Becca Fairy. Now, I was not familiar with Becca's work, and I don't know that much about her, but she says, the desire to express my deepest feelings in a visual manner became lively in 1996. So I think this tells me she's fairly new.
This is basically her first public showing. Becca owns the Crest Jewel shop, which is on the alley on the north side of the square. A lovely gift shop. And she does display her artwork in her.
Okay, so she's probably been exposed to a lot of artwork in her business. And then she says she's been inspired, mentored by several teachers in that area. So we have varying degrees of experience in this exhibit, which is nice to see.
She does a beautiful kind of a fluid, flowing, watercolor technique. This is a figurative one. She also does portraits of saints and so on. I've seen one of Babaji and of Jesus.
It says in this bio that I've been given, she likes to work in watercolor and pastel because of their soft and subtle nature and sensitivity. The essence of my art is then expressed. So this is Becca Fairy from Fairfield. Then we have Joni McGinnis. And I can say a little bit about Joni without even looking at my papers. Joni's a member of the Fairfield Art Association. She's our former treasurer and now our vice president. She's gotten very involved in the community, and I love her work. This isn't really a more typical one, I think.
She does mostly florals. Yeah.
She's a gardener, has been on the garden tour, and so she grows flowers. She does wonderful work of flowers. She has bright, clean, colorful watercolors.
Yeah, beautiful.
I believe she's recently started working in oil, which is a switch.
Yeah, it's nice to see some, something other than the florals.
Yeah,
though.
branch out a little.
I just love this one because, this is, it's called Puerto Vallarta, View from a Hill. That's the title of it, which is in Mexico. But it's got that, beautiful turquoisey Caribbean blue water, and I've been down to the Caribbean twice in the
and you can
last
just
10 years.
feel it when you see
and
this color.
I just love this painting. It just sucks me right into wanting to go back to the Caribbean.
Right.
So beautiful there.
And speaking of different locations, I know that a lot of these artists are well traveled, like Denise having been in Italy, and we have someone else that's traveled around the world, and I like to travel, and so a lot of these works will represent different areas of the world, but they also represent Fairfield and rural Iowa, so that's nice too. So that is Joni McGinnis from Fairfield. And next we have Ann Weigel. Now, Ann's, this is a little different than I think of Ann Weigel. Also, she's from the Packwood area, but I can tell that this is a piece that artists' work should kind of represent themselves and where they're from and where they're at and what's going on in their lives. And this one, I think, does that for Ann.
Well, her husband's a farmer.
Exactly.
So
this is where she's from.
Is this her farm? Or maybe not?
It's probably a view from where she lives, or near Packwood, I would say. Yeah.
Ann is also involved with the Fairfield Art Association, and she's our secretary. In her bio, she says she's created watercolor paintings as well as black and white ink drawings, and they've been used by corporations and churches around the Midwest. I know that she graduated from University of Wisconsin, and she taught art for a while.
I didn't realize that.
Several members of the show have taught. And she does watercolor. She works full-time at the Farm Service Agency in Fairfield, so a lot of artists are doing other things to support themselves, but then their love is the art.
She paints at night.
And she says there's always time for painting.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to give her a lot of credit, because it's it's hard when you work full time to to keep focused on.
And that's my excuse, is I'm too busy and I want to do more art. In fact, yesterday I told my husband I want to do art so bad I can hardly stand it.
I know, it's all I want to do is paint all the time.
But there's other stuff to do.
Of course. We all have families and everything else, but she told me the other day that she just loves painting skies.
Well, you can tell.
So this is obviously,
you
can tell that she just, she's really good at it.
And we have a lot of nice skies to paint in this area we live in, too.
I look at the skies in Fairfield with the clouds as sort of our quote-unquote mountains.
When I was little, I used to imagine that they were.
Yeah.
So Ann Weigel is a Fairfield, Jefferson County person, and she's in our 13 Artists show, and we're really glad to have her work.
Absolutely.
Next we have Diane Naylor. Now Diane actually is an Iowa born artist also. I didn't know that because of her connections, and she lives in Fairfield, as do all of these artists. She attended the Minneapolis College of Art and Design, and then she also attended Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design. She has a real strong background then in this area. She used to do more realistic type work, and then she has switched.
Yeah.
And does these collages, which are very, very interesting.
And very unique.
I love to
Very
look at them.
different, yeah.
And I've done collage, so I can really
That's right, you
get
have.
into that.
Yeah.
In fact, I might have a few at this show. We'll see.
Great.
But she also mentions that she does something called cigar box purses.
I've seen
I
those.
wonder if
I
she'll
hope
have
she'll
any.
have some.
Oh,
some
she
of
will.
those at-
She said
yeah.
she's definitely displaying them at the
They're
show.
really
Great.
fun.
And I mean, they're going to be for sale and everything. So,
Oh, so I want to see those.
yeah, she's very unique. She's extremely creative, and she just comes up with these amazing different ideas on art and. You know, the cigar box purses. I think it's fabulous.
I think that's a great idea. She was raised in the rolling hills of Grant Wood country in eastern Iowa, so she's definitely
Do you know exactly where? I mean,
no, her
I mean,
bio
that's-
does not say, just
'cause
rolling
that's
hills.
Eldon, right? That's where the
that's
house.
where the Gothic house
Oh,
is.
that's the Gothic
But
house.
Grant Wood County is up by Cedar Rapids area.
Oh, okay.
So-
Okay. Yeah.
So that's influenced her work too, but she's branched out and done some really unique things. So Diane is in our show, and this goes to show the variety in styles
Lots of
also
variety.
of this exhibit of 13 artists from Fairfield.
I think
Cool.
there definitely will be something for everybody.
Yes.
And that's one thing that Betsy and I, when we were thinking about different artists, we kind of wanted to, keep it two-dimensional, but have some, lots of variety of abstract and, the collage and the landscape, and
And the media.
that was our thought. when
Lots of different media too.
Yeah, well, you've done a great job. So this is Diane Naylor. She has a lot of shows she's participated in too, so very good credentials here. Next we have Bonnie.
And just be careful, it's not tacked in
Some
yet.
of these are just fresh off the drawing board.
Fresh off the press.
Now, I haven't looked at this one, but I know Bonnie's work. I really like it. She's been doing a lot of Fairfield things in rural Iowa.
Yeah, this obviously is an Iowa landscape that I did close by here, actually just outside of Birmingham. There's this, we discovered this beautiful road
It's just incredible.
called Jasmine Avenue, actually is the name of it. And there is just probably 10 or 20 paintings just in that
In
one
that
area,
area.
on that road. And so this is from that area. And so I do a lot of landscapes like this, and I also
Plein air. I mean, you're actually out there
right.
painting outdoors.
That's my
Which is-
favorite thing to do.
which is very challenging, and she's
Yeah.
very good at it too.
But I always find that when you work on location, you've got the air and the smells and the
Yeah.
feeling
Right.
and the the
Yeah,
cold
and
and the
all
warm.
that gets sort of imbued into the painting.
Exactly,
you know?
and that's why it's so good. That's why Monet and you just feel the light, the changes.
And there's a freshness, to
Exactly.
Bonnie's paintings,
That-
and she always has beautiful, depiction of the light. This is in the evening light, and yeah,
And sometimes,
It's a-
really fresh.
sometimes you take photos to work from if you can't be out there the whole time, but there's nothing like
Yeah.
being out there.
I always have my camera, wherever I am, because you never know, the light changes and you don't catch
Storm
it.
will come up.
Right.
So it's nice to have the reference, for later in the studio. But it's fun to just, kind of work on a painting and have it finished maybe in 2 to 3 hours,
Yes.
and then just leave
You
it.
have to work quickly, though, don't you?
You have to work
But that's
quickly.
good.
Yeah, and
Sometimes
then
that's really good.
and then you can always, embellish back at the studio if you want to do a bigger painting or, just add more later.
Now, you grew up on the shoreline of the East Coast.
Sort of. I actually, my both of my parents are Iowa natives.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess you didn't know that.
I didn't know
And then,
that.
so we lived in the Midwest, Iowa and Illinois, until I was 11. And then we moved to Connecticut.
Okay.
And so, you know, I really kind of feel like my roots are in the Midwest. I feel like
But I
a
know
Midwestern
that
girl.
you were inspired in your bio. You said you were inspired by the ocean and the water.
Well, because your parents live in
Absolutely.
Connecticut
Well, right,
now.
because you know,
Okay.
and I lived there since I was 11 years
Yeah.
old, and my parents have a summer cottage on the Long Island Sound. So, you know, I grew up in a really beautiful area there, and it's actually a painter's paradise. So I go back there every summer and paint.
So you do have a lot of works that do have the ocean and
Yes,
things.
and
in it.
I'll have a lot of those
Beautiful.
at the
She
show.
has some beautiful, you know, beach scenes and with the people.
You know, I
Really
never
great.
thought of this, but I moved to Iowa from California when
Oh,
I
you
was
did?
10.
I
So
didn't
I'm just
realize
reverse
that.
Huh.
of you, but I still
Interesting.
feel that California kind of feeling in me.
Uh-huh.
So I love to do beaches and things too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Bonnie is a part of our show and a wonderful addition, and
Thank you.
we're going to have lots of fun at this show in Des Moines. 13 artists from Fairfield, Iowa at the Kirkwood Hotel this October 11th and 12th in Des Moines. So if you get a chance, come up there. This is a work by Bruce Wilson, and I've known Bruce a few years, but I had no idea that he was an artist.
Well, it's just a recent thing, you know, very
I think
recent.
he's in his bio, he said he's traveled around the world. He's done so many things. He's a songwriter and a guitar player. But he's always kind of had this art thing within him. And so I think he started in, let's see, what year? I want to say 96. That he started actually doing artwork.
Yeah, not that, you know, not that long
And he's
ago, really.
painting.
And he was just, he said, you know, doing a little bit of painting, and then I guess just recently he
last
decided,
year.
yeah, that he was going to, you know, really just get serious with this, and now he travels around
He said he was
the
doing
country
16
doing art
Yeah, he
shows,
does,
or 13 art shows in 16 weeks or something like
he
that.
does
Some
one almost
incredible
every
thing.
weekend. I can't believe how he can do that, but I
And
couldn't.
he's been successful. He paints oil paint with a palette knife, I believe is what this is.
It looks like he does definitely use a
Okay.
palette knife, and it's there's a lot of texture, and it's fairly
Okay.
thick. In
Yeah,
different
over the
areas.
past year, he's had exciting results applying multiple layers of varied colors of oil paint with palette knives. And these layers are allowed to dry from hours to days. And then he used scoring tools, which I did notice on there.
Yeah.
But he was recently, last weekend, at an art exhibit in Indiana, and he won Best of Show,
Yes, he did.
which is very
Yes,
exciting.
It's
it's
really
really
exciting
exciting, and
for
I'm
him.
really happy for him, because you go to these art fairs, and a lot of times you just might sit around and, you know, not
Not
sell
much gets
anything.
sold.
It's like 100-degree heat,
Yeah.
and he just, you know, persevered and kept doing it, and, you know, finally it paid off for him. I mean, he won this award, and
And
we're
another
happy for
award,
him.
he brought his ribbons the other night.
Yeah,
He was so
really
excited.
cute.
Yeah.
So we're real happy for Bruce Wilson, and this is another variety of style that they'll find representing what's going on in Fairfield. How worldly, I think, the artists in Fairfield are. And so we're combining all these different styles into this exhibit. And
So this painting is called American Quilt, and I'll just read what he says
Okay.
about it. My father's mother, Ina Wilson, is still very much alive at 96. Her many fine quilts keep my family toasty through the long Iowa winters. This painting is dedicated to her and to the rich history of American quilting.
kind of looks
Nice.
that way. It looks
Yeah,
like a
it's
quilt.
And that's
Definitely, yeah.
another expression of the point that I always say is that really good art represents you and what you are.
And what you are, exactly.
And that's why it's really good, because
Yeah.
it's coming from within you.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And
And that's why there's nothing like original art, too.
Oh,
Yes.
exactly.
For that reason.
yes,
Exactly.
original art is wonderful.
And I always preach that getting even a tiny piece of original art is better than a copy or a print or anything. And there are so many artists out there in the world trying to survive and get their work out, that anytime you can purchase a piece of original art,
it's just way better than
because it's like having a real piece of life hanging in your home.
exactly.
You have a piece of the artist, there,
right.
and it's kind of like, my paintings are kind of like my little babies or something,
Sometimes they're hard to part with.
They're hard to part with. They really are.
And you might look at artwork and say, "Oh gosh, that's so expensive." But if you think about it,
how much work that goes into it.
oh yeah, it's usually worth every penny that you're paying. All of the work in Des Moines at this show will be for sale and supporting Iowa artists, Fairfield artists. So, and who knows which one of us is going to become very, very famous.
Well, you never know.
I'm sure there'll be more than one.
I think so too, maybe all 13 of us. So this was Bruce Wilson. I really like those colors. Next we have Betsy Huff Smith, and we'll let her try and get up here attached to her microphone, but she'll bring it around here. And we're going to let Betsy talk about her own work.
Well, this style that I do, I've been doing for, I don't know, off and on for probably 4 or 5 years. I took art lessons from a woman who, Lynn Marshall, and she got me started on it. I've been doing watercolor for many, many years, and then she got me started with this technique with trying to put chalk pastels on top of the watercolor after it dries on a rough textured watercolor paper. And I don't know if it's evident in this, I hope it is, but with the trees and so on, what I do is I do this technique where I drag the pastels across very lightly onto the tops of the trees. So it gives it kind of this lacy, textured look, with the roughness of the paper behind, and it doesn't go into the creases, you see. And so it really...
so it's a mixed media technique.
Yeah, it's a mixed media technique.
And that's another reason to have an original, because you don't get that in a print. You can't see the combination of media like this.
And really, I've been to a lot of galleries, and I really haven't seen this technique done a whole lot.
With pastel on top.
With the watercolor, and a lot of times, not so much in this one. I have pastel on the sky here, but the clouds that I did are sort of a combination watercolor washes with some pastel on top. The water is kept. I just kept it just watercolor.
Okay.
But everything else, like the grasses in the foreground and so on, it just gives it a beautiful textured look, I think. And I've had a lot of people, comment that they...
And working with Betsy, it's really fun for me to kind of watch her process evolve when she's doing a painting. She starts out with the watercolor, and then, I think, wow, that looks really nice. And then she says, well, I haven't even put the pastel on yet.
She's
and
working
then,
on it
so a
more.
little while later, she starts adding the pastel, and it's, just really...
it grows.
Yeah.
It's more intense.
Well, it just gives it another layer, kind of what? I don't know, beauty? I don't know, but...
Yeah, I actually really love the two together, the watercolor with the pastel on top.
And it's just kind of a little bit of a unique technique that I've discovered, and I really
developing
enjoy
and
it.
getting a handle on it.
Yeah. Well, I really like drawing. I've always liked kind of doing colored pencil work and stuff with the back and forth motion. And I can get that kind of thing, especially with the grasses. I don't know what it is. It's like this repetitive motion.
Well, there's
and it's just,
in
maybe
nature,
it's good therapy or something. I don't know, but I just love to do it. It's really fun.
Yeah, it adds great texture too, to the painting.
So we'll have lots of Betsy's work at our show.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next we have, well, let's talk about Tara Winkler
Okay.
right now. Tara, we don't have any of her work with us. She's very busy going to
she's
school.
going to school full time.
So she didn't have time to drop something by, but she's a Fairfield artist. She works in watercolor.
She works in mostly, I think, watercolor, but I
Okay.
think she does some oils, and also I've seen pen and ink drawings also. She has a card line, a greeting card line that's really gorgeous. She does pen and ink, and also of people mostly. So she's actually also an illustrator.
Yeah, she has illustrated some books. She's good at figures and landscapes.
But what she'll do is she'll take pictures and of her watercolor, a lot of florals and so on, and then reduce them onto, and put them on cards, print them
Right.
on cards, and she sells them in many areas. She's been in lots of art fairs locally and at the Holiday Art Fair.
Right.
and,
You'll remember her from there.
through the Fairfield Art Association and so on. So yeah, she's a great artist, and we're really happy to have her
And that's
be part
Tara
of the show.
Winkler.
Tara Winkler. Yeah.
So, okay, now let's grab this one over here and I'll talk about it.
Grab this one. She makes it sound
Yeah,
like this one
really.
belongs to Susan Bates Kessel here. And it's,
This is an oil pastel, and it is under glass, so there might be a glare. This is one that I went uptown to the farmer's market a year or so ago. Lots of times I don't have a lot of time to work. I feel like I'm too busy, but if I get the moment and grab some flowers and fruit and vegetables from the farmer's market, took it home and threw it on my table and in a vase, and got inspired and made the time to sit down and work. And it is oil pastel on, it's either on a paper or a heavy illustration board, I can't remember. So I've been doing oil pastel in the last several years because of my limited time, and I've found that it's easy to pick up and take. If I travel, I carry along all my supplies.
Yeah, that's great.
I try and work and finish something quickly on the spot. I do take photos to refer to when I'm finishing. So my recent pieces are oil pastels, and again, they represent my life in my home, in my kitchen, from the farmer's market, where we happen to be traveling or whatever. So,
yeah, I remember seeing and admiring a lot of your work that you've done, I guess, on your travels of what certain places, islands or
Right.
something.
Beach scenes.
Yeah,
There's one
where-
that I
Yeah.
love that I think it's on the poster here,
okay.
of the little kind of
Ocean
bar
bar.
scene, ocean
Yeah.
bar.
And that's
Open
because-
bar. It's so cool. I
That's
love
because
it.
I had time either on the beach or sitting there by the pool to actually do some artwork
Wonderful.
and not be distracted by all the other
Definitely
things.
gives you the feeling that you're there or want to be there, when you.
And that's trying what I bring across.
And I
So-
love the figures too that you put in your
I
paintings.
do. I love working with figures. I love everything, so it's really hard
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you also do watercolors, or you have in the past, and
I
oils.
did batik for probably 15
yeah,
years
that's
is
what
all I
that's right.
did.
Yeah, you did very well at that.
And I did a lot of art shows, packing up every weekend and traveling around
And fiber
Midwest.
art.
Oh, the art fairs? You used to do the art fairs?
Oh, yes.
Did you?
With batik. I even once in a while demonstrated
Wow.
dragging buckets of dye.
Oh, you're
plugging
kidding.
in electric skillets with hot melting wax and painting.
Wow, that's amazing.
Artists do strange things.
Yeah, we do.
Well, you attract
to
you
survive.
attract attention that way,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly. So this is what I'm doing these days, and this is what I will have mostly at the show of 13 Artists in Des Moines.
And we're really thrilled
We're
to have
so
Susan
happy
in
to
the
have
show.
her
Thank you.
a part of the show.
Thank you.
She's really just been a fantastic, to have her, because she's just done public relations, and she knows just about every news person between Burlington and Des Moines.
That's because I do too many other things than art. But thank you very much.
Yeah.
And next we have This one is
John Staiano.
John Staiano. Okay. I gave his bio back to him, but John is one of the members of this art exhibit that has a lot of credentials, like having shown at Soho, New York.
Yeah, he's had a lot of, just individual shows and group shows, I think. One-man shows and group shows in the Soho district in New York City.
So I guess he's from there. Is he from New York City?
I think he's from New York.
And
yeah,
how long has he
absolutely.
lived in Fairfield?
He only moved just like maybe a year and a half ago.
Okay,
here.
so he's one of the most recent additions to Fairfield, and we're very lucky to have him in our community.
Yeah, he's a very experienced artist.
This one is titled Homage to Genevieve, and I believe it's oil?
Acrylic.
Acrylic.
He works in
Okay.
acrylic. Yeah, he told me that he used to work in oils, but he started getting headaches in his studio because of the turpentine smell, I guess.
I've never worked in oil for exactly those reasons. I think nowadays you don't have to put up with that.
You can work with the Max paints or oil paints.
So I've always worked with acrylic and stayed away from oil, and now all the people are using oils again. So it's interesting.
Yeah, and there's a method that both Hans Olson, we'll talk about him in a minute, use where you don't really have to use much solvent at all. I mean, if any at all, just to clean your brushes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
And like I said, Joni McGinnis has recently taken up oil painting, so maybe I should try it. But this is a beautiful acrylic painting.
And I just love his style because he does this, sort of short little brush strokes that it just makes the painting, it's just a lot of movement in it. It's just, and it's very pleasing to the eye, I think. It's just a lot of movement.
And another variety. We've got abstract, we've got realism, in between, we've got collage, mixed media. A lot of different art forms are represented in this show. That will be the 13 artists from Fairfield, Iowa in Des Moines on October 11th and 12th. And we hope that Fairfield people will come up and say hello, so we'll see a friendly face.
Yes.
Just make it a fun event for the weekend to come up and see us.
Yes.
Let's see.
You put it over on that side because it's running out of room here.
Let's take a little camera break so we can focus on two larger pieces that we have here to show you. This is a piece by Suzanne Major. She has a style that when you look at her work, you'll definitely see. Do we know the title to this one? She brought this up for us to show.
Sure. But it's basically, she kind of invented this new way of, painting. It's called...
Is this the movable art?
The movable art.
So there's something on here
art,
that
yes.
that you can move.
Yeah, the birds, and then she has other things that you can, you can just move them around.
So you get to participate in this piece of artwork.
And also, I mean, you don't even have to have this canvas put this way. It can be turned upside down, or it could be, probably upside down. Vertical wouldn't work, but because it's kind of like a, landscape or seascape. But yeah, she came up with this unique idea of having little birds and people and things like that you can kind of have the viewer
That's an interesting
participate.
idea.
Right.
It is.
Which I think is really interesting.
That is. She's exhibited in the United States and Japan, and I said that her works look a little oriental to me, but
very much so.
I guess she's trying to get away from some of that.
Oh, okay.
She did study with a famous Emmy Award winner, Ning Ya. She's lived in Fairfield for 17 years, and she spends her time painting, and she loves to do the watercolors and the rich oil paintings and her creation of movable art.
Yes. She also does, beautiful florals I've seen.
Florals,
in her home.
yes.
Yeah.
So this is another really great style of work that will be with our exhibit. She's had work appear in USA Today and in major department stores nationwide. So I'm going to be anxious to see how the public responds to the movable art.
I think it's a great idea.
And see,
I know my daughter would love to play around with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it is a very unique idea.
So this is Suzanne Major, who will be in 13 Artists from Fairfield, Iowa, this October 11th and 12th.
And at the Kirkwood Hotel.
Yes,
in Des Moines, Iowa.
So we'll put this one to the side, and we're going to pull one more picture up, and that is of Hans Olson. Let's take a camera break so we can, nope, we'll keep going. This is a large piece, and let's see, what did I do with that? Hans is living in Fairfield. He did the graphic poster for us also.
Yes, he's a graphic designer. And actually Hans has lived in a lot of interesting places, one of them being Hawaii.
Yes, he lived on the island of Maui for
for about 3.5 years. And I know he has I've seen his beautiful website, and has some of his Hawaiian paintings on his site that he's done. And people from all over the world, I think, have some of his paintings.
Yes,
So
this one's a gorgeous piece.
This painting here, if you remember a little while ago, we were talking about this beautiful spot on Jasmine Avenue.
And this
is Jasmine Avenue right here, the road.
Okay.
So Hans and I go out painting a lot, plein air painting, and we've done a few together on this road. And he's an amazing artist to work with. I mean, he can whip off a painting in like an hour. It's just really
Maybe
incredible.
not one this big.
No, not this big. But he has a lot of experience in painting.
He's been painting
And,
since high school.
Yeah, he's been painting since he was very young.
You know?
And
That's amazing.
it's been a real inspiration for me, and to go out with him painting, and we've had a lot of fun.
That's a good thing about this show, and just getting to know the two of you and connecting with other artists. As an artist, that's so important to keep you going. I know why, like Monet and the group artists that work together, I know why they did it, because you need to keep going. You need to be inspired, because if you're all alone out there just working, sometimes it's hard. And you do learn so much from each other.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's great support and inspiration to be with other artists. And
it's funny because when we're out there, we'll maybe ride together and, chat and have fun. And then we get there and we get our easel set up, and you don't hear a pin drop for like 3 hours. The two of us, you're completely focused. And
then you probably take a break and look at each other's work and go.
And then we finish, and then we, have fun and talk and everything. But, the process of doing the painting is very
focused.
It's very focused when you're out there.
But Hans has this wonderful technique, and it's just he uses it's an evening light. And also in the morning light. He does lots of paintings in the morning too. But it's just a very beautiful, dramatic depiction of light in the evening, with the beautiful oranges and yellows and so on, and the road, and also the lavenders and so on.
And this type of painting, requires doing a lot of preliminary work too. I mean, I know Hans goes out, and I also do this. You just go out in your car and drive around and see what the light is doing at certain times. Hans, he tells me, well, we've got to get there, we've got to be there by 5:30 and 6, because that's when the light is, that's when the shadows are coming across, and, that's the perfect time.
And see, that always happens to me, like I'm driving home from somewhere doing something else, and it's that hour.
And you're wondering why you didn't bring your camera.
Exactly, and why I couldn't stop and do artwork, but my family says, You're kidding.
No, you
Yeah.
have to make dinner instead,
Well,
Susan.
that's always been my thing too. You know, I've always wanted to go out at that time, you know, late in the afternoon. And being a mother and, you know, having a family, I always felt, well, you know, I can't do that. I've got to get dinner at that time. And just recently I've, you know, kind of trained my family a little bit. And my daughter's getting older. So every once in a while I do get out at that time, and it's just fabulous to, you know, be there when the light is doing all this wonderful, you know, hitting the fields at the perfect time. And
Another thing about attending an exhibit like this is, if you're an artist, it's very inspiring, and you might want to start painting if you haven't for a long time.
Right,
And
Bonnie and I are teaching. We teach adult classes. Bonnie teaches oil painting to adults, and I teach multimedia techniques, watercolor, pastel, acrylics, and so on to adults. And we also are teaching children. We have a children's class where once a week they come, and Bonnie and I will take turns teaching. So they get a little bit of everything, you know.
Yeah.
With two teachers, it's really kind of a unique situation. And we're also both working artists.
the arts in Fairfield are definitely flourishing. There's so much going on. There are art walks that are being started every Friday
Right.
night. Today is the first
Yes,
one.
First Friday.
And you walk around to the different art galleries in town. That's a wonderful
right.
event that's just getting started, and I'm sure it will grow. The Fairfield Art Association is a 36-year-old organization in Fairfield that supports the arts with exhibits
Wonderful.
and classes. Bill Teeple on the north side of the square has a gallery. He's giving classes. There's just tons of art going on in our community, and
That's right.
we're really excited.
Yeah, and we really, there's no reason and no point to even go out of Fairfield if you want to find something to do, because there's
Yeah.
plenty to do.
And we'd like,
just
you know,
in town.
our idea too is to, you know, I mean, Pella is known for its tulips, you know. I mean, Fairfield
The Tulip
can be known
Festival,
for its
right?
art. It's art,
Right.
little artist colony.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people do feel that way, that the arts, the theater, the music, everything in Fairfield is very strong, and that is an obvious strong point of our community. And not only, if you're not an artist, just the appreciation of, I know my husband has a wonderful awareness of appreciating art because I've drug him around.
yeah, yeah.
So
Same with mine.
and also for children to grow up with art, seeing art, being around art,
It's a very rich, you know,
does something.
life. You know, when you go to all the art museums and see all different styles.
exactly, you become
Of
aware and
creativity.
appreciative of arts in the world. And
It's also really fun to work with the kids, you know, to see how, you know, how accomplished they are, and to, you know, just to work with them and get them, you know, give them more experience so that they can, you know, maybe grow up and
become
have artists
also.
be their
Yes,
career.
Yes, and while we're looking at Hans's work, this exemplifies what we're talking about. He grew up in a small Midwestern town in Iowa. He started early. His mother was an accomplished artist, and so
Yes, he
he
told me that.
followed in her footsteps, kind of. He learned to paint in kind of an old master's way of layering oil paints. 3 days after graduating from high school in Iowa, he left, and he ended up in Los Angeles.
That's right.
And that's where he learned the glazing. And then he decided to have formal art classes, and he went to the Rocky Mountain School of Art. And he studied painting and illustration. He went back to LA. He did book covers, magazine advertisement, record covers, and worked in the motion picture industry.
Very experienced artist.
From there, he went to Maui, and he worked there, and he did 50 oil paintings in 3 years.
Wow.
And then he returned to Iowa. And then he said he drives around on the gravel roads
Yes.
looking for the beauty in rural Iowa.
We call it being a light hunter of light.
Oh,
Yes.
what a great idea to call it.
Yeah.
So, Iowa artists, Fairfield, Iowa artists,
13 Fairfield artists.
13 of them doing a show representing our community in Des Moines the weekend of October 11th and 12th at the Kirkwood Hotel. It's a special exhibit.
Right. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be
a lot of
fun. It's an event for Fairfield to be proud of. It's an event for Iowa to be proud of, and for community members and everyone to come and take a look at our work and see what's going on in the world of art in our town.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Betsy.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Hope that you can be there or enjoy it.